So it looks like comedian Monique and her husband, Daddy, are responding to her son, Shalon's recent TikTok. And I think this time they've gone again too far, talking about their own child's alleged mental illness. Welcome back to the Kempire channel, your #1 source for pop culture news and music, entertainment, reality TV, and so much more. As always, be sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell so you never miss out on breaking news when we go live or when we upload. And don't forget, you can listen to our live recaps and special episodes on the Kempire podcast. So it was just yesterday that we reported to you that for the very first time, Monique's eldest son, who we never really heard from, Shalon, spoke out on TikTok in an almost 10-minute video talking about his relationship with his mom. So just to remind you a little bit of what prompted all of this, our friends over at Atlanta Black Star write this. At one point in her interview with Shannon Sharpe on Club Shay Shay, the 56-year-old acknowledged that she was not the best mother to Shalon, but that she had sacrificed being a more present and nurturing figure to provide him with options she did not have growing up. She shares her firstborn with her husband, Dallas Morning News sports writer Calvin Watkins. So Monique said this in the Club Shay Shay interview: "We're still very much separated, and it's one of the things that where you have to pray to the universe and say, let time do the healing. And that's it. That's it. Let time do the healing. It may heal it in time and it may not. And that's something we as parents have to say. I've done what I could do. I've taken accountability for it. Now it's up to you." As I mentioned before, we posted Shalon's 9-minute plus video. They write this. They said, in his latest post, it is the first time he has explicitly addressed their connection on the platform. He says, "I felt the need to make this video just to provide some context to his fans' narrative of her praying to the universe to reconcile their relationship." He went on to say, "My mother and I both know that it is a very false narrative, and I would like to free her of having to continue to tell that lie. Faith without work is dead, and neither one of us cares to put forth the effort to reconcile with the other. We are separated," as she put it, "because she doesn't care to be my mother anymore than I care to be her son. Neither one of us has had the desire to reach out to the other in a really long time," he continued. They write this. They said, he also hit back, having to hear Monique's truth, saying, "Newsflash, standing in your truth doesn't make you noble." She was accused of showing a lack of humility, consideration, and compassion when, quote, taking any level of accountability for allegedly telling Shalon in the past that she had no interest in being a mother. "If I had to guess, though, her interest in being a mother probably started around the time she married her daddy and had his children," according to Shalon in this video. So, of course, after we posted our video talking about this, of course, Monique and Daddy went on Instagram to address not just Shalon, but again, Oprah, Tyler, and now Stephen A. Smith. We won't go over any of that. We'll just take a look at what they had to say in regards to Shalon.
The title of our conversation, or the theme of it, is called "The Long Way Around," because ain't no shortcuts. Pickles, stop playing with that paper, please. The reason we're having it is a multitude of reasons, but we're going to start off with, there was a Instagram that was put up, or I guess
it was TikTok, baby.
TikTok that was put up by
my son, my oldest son, Shalon. And this is what I want to say to this. There are some people that are saying, "Oh, you should be ashamed of your mothering skills. You should be ashamed of yourself." This is what I'll say. Let's let it play out. Because the same ones that said to me I was crazy, I was deranged, we watched it play out. So just like with my son, we'll watch this play out. And I do want to address this though, Shalon. When you say her daddy, then that's when mommy gonna say stop playing, because you know this has been Uncle Sid your whole life. Uncle Sid knew you before you knew you. So for you to say her 3 sons, Yes, you're absolutely right. He has 3 sons. He can't claim you as his son because he's always been Uncle Sid, and he knows your daddy very well.
And love that brother. And the irony of all of this is not what is said, but what's left off.
Yes.
See, you're leaving off the fact that the last time we laid eyes on you, your mother got you everything you needed for the newborn baby about 3 years ago. You're forgetting about how I, from Georgia, am talking you through getting your car after we gave you the half of the down payment for it. And you were 31 years of age, 32 years of age at that point. And I'm negotiating the deal with the dealer for you as you sit there. And you have the vehicle you're driving right now because of your mother. These are the things that you're leaving out when you're expressing what you're expressing in reference to your mother. You're not expressing the relationship that you have with your father, where you spoke ill to him, not to mention spoke ill to your mother, but somehow your mother and father and I all have a loving relationship and communicate back and forth because of the love that we have for you. The one thing these individuals, and to the individuals out here that oftentimes speak after they've heard one side of the story, there's an old saying: believe half of what you see and none of what it is that you hear. Please don't take our word for it, but what we will convey is this. Those who are parents and have raised their parents up to being adults.
The children. Raise their children up to being adults.
Right on. Those who are parents that raise their children into adulthood know that there comes a time and a place in which they determine their own decisions, their own path. You can have multiple children that are raised in one house, but they act and they take on different things. The reason why it was so important for us to entertain these conversations that we typically have privately, or that we're influenced to have privately amongst the people in our community, is because we need to stop being embarrassed about being human beings and about being black human beings. You will oftentimes hear us saying we are embarrassing ourselves in front of them. Who is them?
Who are they?
Because when you hear someone articulate these things, that is the slave's mentality. It makes us believe that we as black people need to conduct ourselves with dignity because white people are watching. You should conduct yourself with dignity because the spirit of you is watching.
Come on.
But we need to have these conversations out loud and taboo because we have a finite period of time together here on this earth. You will travel through infinity with the spirit that you have all alone, and you will not remember the ridicule that you receive, but you will be judging yourself. You will be determining for the rest of your life which way that you go as you have thus far. So this conversation is about speaking directly to what situations are. And many people oftentimes, when they are presented with an issue, they stay quiet, they hide, they disappear. And what we're saying is that's not who we are, because what you cannot do is you cannot trick an honest person.
Come on.
You can demean, you can say whatever you want to say about them negatively, but what will happen is truth has a way of standing the test of time. I forgot to have my phone to read the last text message that I gave to you, Shalon, where I told you about the understanding of how you are speaking to a woman and how you as a man and how you perceive things may be completely different from how your wife, how your mother, how your sister, how your daughter will look at things. And when you learn how to communicate a little bit better, then things will happen a little bit better. You young man, because of the challenges that this young brother has had with mental illness. So we're communicating that out loud to speak to our community, to say, listen, y'all, if we have more public conversations, there will be less private angst.
Come on.
There will be less private issues that we carry on because we're afraid to communicate in front of white folks.
So when we get to a place where you want to be free, you will stop being scared to say what's real. You'll stop being fearful of having conversations that normally take place in private and nobody ever really knows the outcome. And from there, when you were saying earlier about how we're looking in front of white folks. When I do hear our brother Greg Mathis say, the studio is white.
Don't be that.
I'm sorry to be chuckling. When I hear you, when I hear my son, when I hear you, Shalon, talk about money and stuff, it's like, baby, as I told you when you were younger, I told you as a man, don't let nobody introduce you to me. You know who your mama is.
And when folks speak in reference to calling your seed, sometimes, especially when your seed decided to call things off with you because you didn't move for a 34-year-old, 32-year-old man in the time that he wanted to do, because you as a mother, you as an entertainer, you as an actress, you as a grandmother, you as a wife, allotted the time to see him, but he pushed you away. But then when it's time for him and it doesn't work for you, now it's a problem. Listen, it comes a point in time where when you become a man, when you become a woman, it is your obligation to do for you. To do for you. At 31, brother, 32, I'm sitting there on a conversation at the behest of your mother. Why? For you. Because I love my nephew. And we still love you, Shalon. That's why your mother and your father interact with one another, to let them be aware of what's happening with you. So if you think you're not loved, that's because you're not paying attention. And there are other dynamics that fall into play in which we completely understand. And for you too, we're going to keep the light on for you. But I find it extremely ironic that the last time you saw me, you wanted to be able to call me dad. And I couldn't allow you to call me dad because there's only one dad in your life. And he's a friend of ours.
Come on.
He's a friend of ours. So, again, we as people of color, let us stop being embarrassed about having conversations out loud, because you never know who you could be helping. Please do not allow people to embarrass you out of life. I don't care if you're in the LGBTQ.
I've said this before. I'm going to say it again. You could say it's twerking on the fence. You could say whatever it is. There's a lot of things that Monique and Daddy say that are very valid. However, I did not like that she allowed her husband, that's not the father, the uncle, Uncle Sidney, to even bring up if he had mental illness, and almost to use it as if, even if he has mental illness, what he's saying in this video can still be true, or at least his truth. I didn't like the fact that she allowed this man, that's not the father, it would be different if it was his own father, but even then, to use mental illness as if that, almost to weaponize it. We're noticing a trend, remember? Because she was like, D.L. Hughley did that interview. He's the one who did that public interview. But then you took it and used it like it was a weapon. So you used D.L. Hughley's child's trauma and used it as a weapon. So I'm starting to notice a trend here. And I think a lot of people are noticing as well. You'll say a lot of good and a lot of truth, but then you almost nice nasty with some of the other things. Like you will be like, I love us for real, but Oprah is trash and Oprah is a snake and Oprah did this to me. But I love Oprah. I love her. Okay? To allow Sidney to bring up possible mental illness, because I don't know if I even trust anything coming out of Sidney's mouth, but to use that, almost to use it against him to discredit what he's saying and how he feels. And look, can it be true that maybe he felt like he was entitled to you guys helping him with the car, or giving him money, and maybe you cut him off, and maybe that's why he's speaking out now, and he's never spoken out before. But I feel like I'm very intuitive, and I see a lot of people that watch this video and were like, I believe him. Because I don't feel as if he was dogging out his mom. Because based off the quotes that we just read to you, he sounded like he was taking accountability. I haven't reached out, but she also has not reached out either. Clearly, there is something that could be resolved between them. But after you post a video like this where you allow someone that's not the father of your son to bring up allegedly mental illness and then try to discredit you again by like, oh, you just called me the other day I don't know when he called him. You just called me the other day to say that can I call you dad? And they were like, no, you have a father. Here's the thing though. Here's where I disagree. I get it. You can say nicely to someone, especially if you have a relationship with a father, like, no, I'm your uncle. You have a father. But if he truly values you as a father, why not allow him to call you dad? Why not? But I get it. You probably like, I don't want to step on anyone's toes. That's fine. That's fine. But to sort of use that as a way to, again, discredit what he said. Because honestly, what he said in that video did not deserve a response from Monique and Sidney. Maybe not a public response. Yes, he went to the public and everyone was like, oh, he went to the public. Why can't they go to the public? Because that's still your family. That's your child. And if he has mental illness, why not treat with the same level of care that you would want someone to treat someone else with mental illness? Or you do not love us for real. Because if someone has mental illness, allegedly, I don't know if I believe that. First of all, I wouldn't be using it as a way to discredit him because nothing that he said in his video, for me, constituted bringing up his alleged mental illness. But like I said, I'm noticing a pattern. I'm noticing a pattern with this particular couple. Because there's always a truth. There's a lot of truth and a lot of valid points. I'm never going to take away from her valid points, especially when it comes to the dark side of Hollywood. But you can't keep calling us, oh, my sweet babies, and I love us for real, because it's coming across condescending. It's coming across, honestly, as an okie doke. So that you can say all this other stuff. I don't need you to love us for real. I need you to love your son for real. And not to use allegedly if he has mental illness, or if he was like because I know some of you have children that are in their 30s and 40s that still have not, grown up and still expect a certain amount from you. Honestly, if you really stuck in your truth, instead of listening to the comments of people calling you a bad mom, like I wouldn't even call you a bad mom based off of what he said. If you go back and you watch the video that I did, I was really trying to give Monique grace in that video, saying, well, Monique has been very open about how in the early years of raising her son in her adulthood, before she got married to Sidney, she was ripping and running and doing things, and she wasn't proud of those things. And I said, maybe that's part of what caused an issue and a rift between her and her son. But in present day, this is what you do in response to your son expressing his feelings for the very first time, because he really has never done this before. And he's been alive 30-something years. He's never done this before. Well, okay, here I go twerking on the fence. Maybe you stop paying for things and now he feels like... But again, I'll point this out. He went to TikTok. He could have went to a news outlet and got paid. Got paid a pretty penny. Especially right now when people are talking about Monique in her recent interview, he could have easily gotten money. And yes, you get a little change on TikTok, but please understand, that's not a lot of money on TikTok. He could have went to anywhere the Daily Mail, they would have given him a cute coin. Nothing to live off of, but a cute coin. Saying all that to say, guys, I want to know your reaction to Monique and Daddy's Instagram Live and their response to her eldest son, Shalon. Let's continue this conversation there. As always, be sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell so you never miss out on breaking news when we go live or when we upload. Thanks for watching.
You bring the lighter, I got the fuse.